C40.
Less than a week before the start of the school year, the Amherst-Pelham School District is without a new superintendent and now 3 school committee members. Welcome everyone to Western Mass News at 4. I'm Chris Pisano.
And I'm Abby Carnevale. This comes as the district has been dealing with much controversy surrounding the treatment of transgender students. Western Mass News reporter Kristen Burnell joins us live with more details. Kristen?
Chris and Abby, we've learned the latest school committee resignation went into effect today. School committee members last met on Wednesday to discuss several topics, including naming a new chair of the committee and the next steps in finding a superintendent. In the past week, 4 people have resigned from their positions in the district, including school committee members Peter Demling, Allison McDonald, and Ben Harrington, and Superintendent Dr. Michael Morris. This comes after months of controversy for the district. It started with a Title IX investigation into gender identity discrimination claims. Then 3 middle school staff members were placed on paid leave. Shortly after that, Dr. Morris took a temporary leave of absence, citing medical reasons. And then Assistant Superintendent Doreen Cunningham filed a discrimination complaint against the district after she was placed on administrative leave amid the ongoing investigation. Now on Wednesday, the school committee discussed the next steps for the district after voting Sarah Bess Kenny the new chair of the school committee by a vote of 4-2. All members agree they must find an interim superintendent as soon as possible, even weighing the option of having the district's finance director, Doug Slaughter, who served as acting superintendent this past spring.
The chairs should talk to Doug and talk to others in the administration about who else could be an immediate interim. Maybe it's Doug, maybe there's someone else that, we've tossed around a bunch of names earlier this year.
Now, also during that meeting, over a dozen people spoke out during public comment, expressing frustrations over how the district handled the gender identity discrimination claims. I'll have much more on that coming up at 5.
So, Kristen, do we know who is leading the district now?
Chris, that's still being decided as the chair and vice chair of the school committee come up with a plan of action in finding an interim superintendent by next Thursday, as Dr. Michael Morris's last day is August 31st. We have also learned there will be a special meeting with the town council and the school committee on Monday.